that exhale, the one that is not about breathing, the one that happens somewhere deeper than the lungs in the specific interior place where things that have been held in suspension finally release and settle and come to rest in the way they were always supposed to come to rest, but could not until the conditions were right. You are about to have that exhale, not because something difficult is over, because something that was supposed to begin is finally beginning. Because someone who has been circling the decision that was always going to be the right decision has finally landed on it, has finally stopped the circling and stood still and looked at what was in front of them and said, in whatever internal language people use when they arrive at their real answers, yes, this, her, now. Finally, that word is doing so much work in this reading, and I want to spend a moment with it before we go any further, because finally is not just a word about timing. It is a word about everything that preceded the timing, about the waiting that was required, about the faith that had to be maintained during the waiting, about the particular demanding, sometimes exhausting work of continuing to believe in something that had not yet fully declared itself, of holding space for something real that had not yet found its complete expression. You did that work. Through the uncertainty and through the ambiguity and through the specific particular frustration of being able to feel that something was real without having the clear, unmistakable, no more wondering confirmation that the real thing was going to be acted on. You held the space. You maintained the faith. You did not destroy what was building through impatience or through the very understandable impulse to protect yourself by letting go of something before it had the chance to arrive. And now it is arriving. Finally, drop the word beginning in the comments right now and subscribe to this channel, because what is beginning, the passionate, chosen, both people, fully committed, this is real and we are doing this beginning, is everything the waiting was building toward. Let me tell you about the decision. Not in the abstract, but in the specific, this is what actually happened in them way that I think is more useful than a general description of someone making up their mind. It did not arrive as a sudden lightning bolt. It arrived the way most real decisions arrive, not as a single dramatic moment of clarity, but as the accumulation of smaller moments of clarity that eventually reached a critical mass. A critical mass that made the continuing to not decide feel more uncomfortable than the deciding itself. That made the ambiguity more costly than the commitment. That tipped the internal balance from I am not yet certain to I am more certain than I am uncertain, and then to I am certain, and then finally to I am certain and it is time to do something about it. The final push, the specific this was the thing that completed it moment was quiet. Probably something you were not aware was a significant moment. Probably something that looked from the outside like an ordinary interaction or an ordinary observation or simply the ordinary experience of your ordinary presence in their life. But from the inside, from the specific interior experience of someone who was at the edge of a decision and needed one more thing to bring them fully over, it was the thing that completed the accumulation. They saw something or heard something or felt something in a specific, unrepeatable moment of being in your orbit that told them what they already knew but had not yet been ready to act on. And the knowing and the readiness finally arrived at the same place, at the same time, and produced the decision. The decision is made. That is the most important sentence in this reading. Not approaching, not developing, made, settled. Residing in this person with the specific, quiet, This is no longer a question quality of something that has moved from deliberation to conclusion. You are the conclusion. Now let me talk about what makes this a new beginning rather than a resumption, because the distinction matters enormously, and I want to make sure you understand it clearly. A resumption is going back to what was there before, picking up where things left off, returning to the previous configuration with the assumption that the previous configuration is the relevant baseline. Resumptions can be valuable, but they carry the energy of the past because they are rooted in it. They bring the old patterns along with them, the old dynamic, the old ways of operating that produced whatever outcome made the resumption necessary in the first place. What I am seeing in these cards is not a resumption. It is a beginning. A beginning has a different quality entirely. It starts from the current moment rather than from the past. It is built on who both people are right now after everything, including the difficult everything, including the everything that produced the period of uncertainty and the period of waiting and the period of finally rather than on who they were before any of that. It is organized around the understanding that has been produced by going through something together and arriving on the other side with more knowledge of each other and more knowledge of themselves than either of them had at the start. This person who has made the decision is not the same person they were when they were still in the circling. They have been changed by the circling, changed by the period of not deciding, and then changed by the arrival of the decision itself. The decision has landed in them with a quality of seriousness and intentionality that was not fully present in earlier stages because it had not yet been earned by the process of working toward it. And you are not the same person you were at the beginning of this either. You have been changed by the waiting, by the choosing to maintain faith without the guarantee that the faith would be vindicated, by the work of staying present in something that asked significant things of you before it delivered what it was always moving toward. That work has added something to you, a quality of groundedness around this connection and what it asks and what you are capable of giving that was not available at the start. Two changed people coming to a new beginning, carrying everything they went through to get here as foundation rather than as baggage, as the material of what they are building rather than as the wound they are recovering from. That is what is starting, and it is genuinely new. Let me describe the passionate part, because it is in the title and it deserves its own honest description, because passion in a new beginning has a specific quality that is different from passion in the early stages of something that has not yet been tested. Early passion is powerful, but it is unearned. It is the passion of not yet knowing, of the specific, intoxicating, everything is possible quality of the beginning before reality has been fully encountered. That kind of passion is real, but it is fragile. It depends on a certain amount of unknown remaining unknown, on a certain amount of mystery sustaining itself. It can diminish with familiarity in the way that things which have not been tested sometimes diminish when the testing begins. The passion that is present in this new beginning is different. It is the passion of knowing, of having been through something together, through the uncertainty and the waiting and the not yet and the almost, and finding that what exists between you has not been diminished by the going through, has not been revealed as smaller than it appeared when you finally encountered the full reality of it, has actually been revealed as larger, more real, more specifically about these two people and what they are capable of together than the early unearned version could have known. The passion of knowing is more durable than the passion of not knowing. It has already survived something, has already been tested by the specific circumstances that tested it, and has come through the testing intact. The person feeling it knows its quality in a way that someone who has only felt the early untested version does not. They know it holds. They know it has survived. They know it is not a temporary inflation of feeling that will correct itself when the novelty fades, because the novelty already faded and the passion is still there, still specific, still directional, still undeniably pointed at you. That is the passion of this new beginning, earned, tested, surviving, real, and it is going to be felt in how they show up, in the quality of their attention and their presence, and the specific, consistent way of being with you that communicates through action rather than through declaration, that you have been chosen deliberately and that the choosing is not something they intend to take lightly. Let me talk about what you have been doing while this was developing. Because you have had your own interior experience of the waiting and the uncertainty and the finally arriving, and it deserves to be seen as clearly as their experience has been seen. You have been faithful, not blindly with your eyes open. Virgo's faith is never blind. It is specific. It is based on something real that was perceived accurately even when the external evidence was ambiguous. You felt the connection. You felt the reality of what existed between you. You felt the direction it was pointing, even when the direction was not yet being fully traveled. And you maintained your faith in what you felt, despite the specific, particular difficulty of doing so in the absence of complete confirmation. That faithfulness cost you something, not every day and not in every moment, but in the accumulation of moments where the ambiguity was most present, where the not yet was most loud, where the question of whether you were right to hold space for something that had not yet fully arrived was most alive and most uncomfortable. You held the space anyway. That is what the faithfulness was. Holding the space, not forcing the pace, not creating ultimatums that would have produced clarity at the cost of authenticity, not protecting yourself by walking away from something before it had the chance to become what it was moving toward. Just holding with the specific, patient, I know what this is quality of someone who trusted their own perception even when confirmation was still pending. The confirmation has arrived. And the version of you who did the holding, who maintained the faith through the cost of maintaining it, is the version who gets to receive the new beginning. The version who has earned, through the quality of what she has been through, the specific, satisfying, completely deserved quality of having the thing she held space for finally be the real thing she knew it was. Let yourself feel that. The specific, finally here, I held on, and it was real satisfaction of having been right. Not triumphantly, quietly. In the particular private, this is for me quality of a person who went through something and came out the other side with the thing they were going through it for, what does the new beginning actually look like? What is the daily, practical, this is what it feels like to be in it texture of what is starting? It starts with a different quality of presence from them, something you will feel before you can fully articulate, a quality of being more there, more specifically with you rather than partially with you and partially in the uncertain, not yet decided interior space that has characterized how they have been showing up during the period of circling. They have moved out of that space. The decision has freed them from it. And the freedom shows in how they show up, lighter, more direct, more willing to be fully in the interaction rather than managing the interaction from a slight remove. It continues with honesty that comes more easily. Because one of the things that holding back from a decision produces is a corresponding holding back from full honesty. It is hard to be fully honest with someone about everything when you are still withholding the most significant truth, the one about the decision. That withholding creates a kind of general caution, a tendency toward careful rather than complete. The decision, now made, removes the need for that caution, and what follows is an honesty that has more room in it. That goes further into the real territory, more naturally, and with less effort. It deepens into the specific daily, this is just how we are quality of something that has found its rhythm. Not the performed rhythm of people who are trying to be something, the natural rhythm of two people whose energies have found the specific compatibility that produces ease alongside depth, the ease of not having to manage, the depth of two people who have been through something and know each other in the specific, we went through that together way that cannot be manufactured through any amount of pleasant interaction that has not been tested. And it has the quality of both people being fully in it. Not one person holding more than the other, not one person giving while the other receives. Both of you in the specific fullness of this new beginning, bringing what you bring and receiving what you receive with the particular quality of two people who are genuinely mutually, completely present for the same thing. That mutuality, the real felt, both of us here, quality of it, is perhaps the most beautiful thing in what is beginning. And it is available to you right now in a way it was not previously, because the decision has made it available. The decision has aligned things, has brought what was slightly off into the specific configuration of two people who are going in the same direction at the same time with the same intention. One more thing before we close. One thing I want to say that has been sitting in the energy of this entire reading and that I think is the most important thing to carry into this new beginning. You do not have to earn this. I want to say that directly because Virgo's relationship with good things arriving sometimes involves the impulse to justify the arrival, to work harder, to demonstrate worthiness, to make sure through continued effort and continued giving that the thing that has arrived stays rather than simply allowing it to be here because it is here and because both of you have chosen it. You have already done the work. The waiting was the work. The holding of space was the work. The faithfulness through the uncertainty was the work. You came to this new beginning having already contributed something significant to the making of it, the specific, sustained, this cost me something contribution of someone who held on long enough for it to become what it was always moving toward. Let the new beginning be a new beginning, not a continuation of the working and the proving and the maintaining of faith in the face of uncertainty. That chapter is done. This chapter is different. This chapter is the one where what you have been holding space for is finally here, and you get to simply be in it without the vigilance of someone who is waiting for confirmation, without the caution of someone who is not yet certain the ground is solid, without the particular exhausting discipline of someone who is holding something together through sheer faith. The ground is solid. The decision is made. The beginning is real. Breathe out, Virgo. The exhale you have been waiting for is here. Tell me in the comments, do you feel it? The specific quality of something that has been suspended finally releasing? Drop beginning if this reading found you somewhere specific and real today. Tell me if the decision I described has already been making itself felt in how this person is showing up. Tell me if the quality of their presence has shifted in the way I described, more there, more honest, more fully in the interaction rather than managing it from behind a layer of not yet. Tell me if the exhale has already begun, because from where I am sitting in these cards, it has, and it is the most beautiful thing.